No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
It's quite fitting that on Saturday, when we celebrated our 16th anniversary of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, we had some technical difficulties. And tonight, when it's actually our 16th anniversary of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, to the date, February 4th, 2009, it's only fitting that we continue to be the well-oiled machine that we are, as Dave managed to forget both his microphone and his camera in preparing for tonight's Illegal Curve postgame show. We just are that well-oiled. Not quite as well-oiled as the Winnipeg Jets, mind you, but well-oiled nonetheless. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us live on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show, where we are here tonight to talk about the Winnipeg Jets, victors of 7 wins in a row, and Eric Comrie getting his first shutout as a member of the Winnipeg Jets since April 27th, 2022, in tonight's 3-0 victory over a very good Carolina Hurricanes team. Dave, good evening. Great to see you. Even if it's only tall, narrow Dave, it's better than no Dave at all.
I apologize for my my poor form tonight, Drew, but
yeah, I believe it's called pulling a Ginsburg.
Yeah, that's what we call it. But I apologize to everyone in the chat for not having the crisp mic and everything else. But you know, it was another big win for this Winnipeg Jets team. 7 in a row. The number one, you know, the old saying, "There's no place like home." Once again, they've got the number one home record in the entire NHL. So Canada Life Center is a formidable hockey town, or hockey building, I should say. Eric Comrie was excellent in this hockey game. As you said, Drew, picking up a shutout. I suspect the person who, when we reported that it looked like Eric Comrie was going to be getting the start, said, chalk up the win. There goes the win streak. So they may be deleting their comment because it is, in fact, another win for the Winnipeg Jets. 2 in a row now for Eric Comrie. And this was a good win. I mean, this is a very good Hurricanes team. They've lost 2 in a row now. But they were 6-2-2 coming into tonight's game, which pitted, I should say, the best penalty kill in the NHL in Carolina against the best power play in the NHL in Winnipeg. And, of course, we know who came out on top in that battle. So, which, by the way, is a little, by way of a hint, teaser alert, Connor Hrabchak will have a good power play article coming out tomorrow. And luckily for us and for him, he delayed it one day, so he got to include them going 2 for 3 against the best power play in the NHL.
Yeah, and that's really, the Winnipeg Jets. This was just another impressive victory in what has been a series of them. I mean, going back to the game, the road trip, you beat Montreal, you beat Boston. Well, you're supposed to beat those 2 teams. Mm-hmm. And then you have really 2 of the class teams in the Eastern Conference back to back, one on the road, one at home, not back to back in terms of days, but back to back in terms of games. Yeah. You beat the Capitals in overtime, as we all know from Saturday night. But tonight against the Hurricanes, the Jets, especially in that third period, Dave.
Yeah.
Where that Carolina needs to find a way to push and grind and get back into this game. That third period by the Winnipeg Jets, where the high danger chances in the third period were 9-3 in the Jets' favor, to me is just, again, another one of the more impressive feats we've seen from this Winnipeg Jets team in a season full of impressive performances by the hometown team. Carolina's a good hockey team, folks. We know that. Carolina, I don't know that they're necessarily the class of the East, but with Mikko Rantanen there now, they're certainly going to be in that conversation as one of those teams that you expect to be there at the end. Their goaltending leaves me a little bit nervous still. Whatever. That's not my problem. That's there for them to figure out if they've solved that bugaboo. But for the Jets to do what they did, particularly in the third period of a 2-goal game where, the worst lead in hockey, blah, blah, blah. Do you sit back and play defensively, or do you step on it and try and increase the lead? Well, we know what the Jets did, getting the goal, increasing the lead, outchancing them high danger-wise 9-3. But at the same time, they played such stellar defense in front of Eric Comrie in that third period that all in all, this is a hell of an impressive victory for the Winnipeg Jets. All 18 skaters, Eric Comrie in net as well. And of course, video coach Matt Prefontaine doing his part to get the Winnipeg Jets into victory, successfully challenging the opening goal by the Hurricanes and then successfully challenging the third goal for the Jets after it was disallowed. Just all in all, organizationally wide, Dave, an impressive performance by the Winnipeg Jets.
I know I got some hate from some folks in Carolina who were not happy that I said that was the right call by Matty Prefontaine when he made that. Now, the initial replay, I don't know how they showed it at home, but when we were watching the game at obviously live inside Canada Live, the first two replays that they showed really don't indicate how Rantanen came through and knocked Comrie's stick away. And I know we'll get into it in the recap, but the third one I thought was pretty evident when you looked at it from over the top. And you got to give Matt Prefontaine a lot of credit. I mean, we were talking about it in the press box. He's lost one challenge so far this season, and that was the one that was that one that Connor Hellebuck was none too pleased about, I believe, against Tampa Bay, where he wondered aloud what was goaltender interference. So, that he's been exceptional, and to get 2 successful challenges in one game isn't insignificant. So a big thing by Connor Hellebuck, Matt Prefontaine, in order to kind of really, that could have changed the whole tenor of this hockey game, of course, Captain Obvious. And instead, he keeps the team in it, and then of course they score on the power play. So, yeah,
you're absolutely right, because I was watching at home tonight, and at first I'm like, I don't see goaltender interference here, but it's only on the replay. And I think I've discovered what goaltender interference is. Then the NHL has sort of figured it out. If you enter the blue paint on your own, as in you're not pushed in there by a defender, if you enter the blue paint on your own and in any way, shape, or form impede the goaltender and his ability to make a save, they're going to disallow the goal. And you saw Rantanen enter the blue paint on his own. Does Pionk give him a little bit of a jab? Yes, he does. But Rantanen went there first on his own, and you can clearly see on the overhead replay that his body impedes Eric Comrie, like the top part of Eric Comrie's shaft of his stick. And as a result, Comrie is unable to fully extend with his blocker to get into a full position to make the save on the Jackson Blake shot that eventually went in. So in this instance, I think that it was pretty clear. Player enters blue paint, player impedes goaltender, however marginally it may have been, but I think it was actually more than just a little marginally here in this one, because he impeded the stick and as a result the blocker. No goal. It's pretty straightforward on this one. I know that people in Carolina, of course, are looking through it through their fandom lens. So I understand why they might be upset with you. I mean, I'm upset with you right now, to be perfectly honest, with the poor technological capabilities we have going on. Yeah. But nonetheless, no goal. And that's really, I mean, I don't know if it's the TSN turning point here. Scott Arneal, we'll continue this thought afterwards.
You got wind of it. I was going to get Matty. He wouldn't come. I wanted him to be the guy.
Would have been great to have him at the podium here. I know it's a collective effort when you decide to challenge these things, but maybe take us through the two. Obviously, the first one, Eric and Neil, I think both had their arms up. Were you pretty confident that's coming back?
Yeah, that one we were pretty sure on, because we didn't push Rantanen in. He kind of went through the blue paint and got his stick. So the second one, was a little trickier, just because of what the score was, and we're at. I don't know if it's 1-0 game, if we're maybe going to make that call, just because it was overturned on the ice, and those are tough ones when the referee overturns them like that. So, but I think we had enough video, saw enough that, Matty, and we decided that would be the right call.
Right. In hindsight, the first period challenge, I mean, we could say it was a pretty big turning point, right? Sure. Instead of chasing the game, being down a goal early, you guys get it, and then you score shortly after.
Yeah.
So big swing there.
Yeah, I mean, anytime those challenges go your way, they're boost. They boost you, and like you mentioned, if they get off and get a 1-0 lead, they're on the road and they can shut down with the best of them. And but I like the way we responded. Our second power play, scoring both those power play goals. I thought they did a great job. Like they've done most of the year. So those were big moments, and that led to that win.
And just on starting Eric tonight, was this just a case you don't want maybe Connor to have too much of a break if he had played tonight and then say not Friday going into?
You got listening devices in my office now? Or? No, exactly. Yeah, because I don't think. There'll be some practice, but I think the U.S. starts next Thursday, so had a little bit to do with it. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that Combs was going to play one of the two. Just decided that we'd have Helly do the last one.
Turned out pretty well.
Now I told you who my goalie is on Friday.
Gotcha.
Nino gets the goal, and at the end of the first period, there's that shot block that everybody saw. He's also a big part of that line that's having success without Adam Lowry on it. What can you say about his performance?
Yeah, this was one of his better games. He's played some good ones, some strong ones, but I thought tonight in all areas, like you mentioned, in our end of the rink, he did a lot of good things. His wall battles, when he's really on his game, he wins those, whether it's on the breakouts or that's in the offensive side. But he had a lot of situations where he was net front, had some rebounds, had some tips, created sort of the chaos that's around there from just his big body being there. And, I think on Pionk's goal, he was the one battled on the wall that kind of helped dig that out of there. So lots of good things that you like to see from a guy like him, big power forward.
Nemestikov's line looks like it's creating more and more often, and maybe him in particular, his shifts where he takes over are more often now than a little while ago. What's changed there that's working so well?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there was a little bit of fly coming off the injury. Now they've kind of up and running, and you can tell they're in sync with each other. I really see it when they get in the offensive zone, how they make those 10-foot passes to each other, and they kind of scissor cycle, and they kind of use the three of them are fairly close together, and somehow they come out of that sort of pile up, and there's one of them going to the net all by himself, or there's somebody who gets a real good look. They feed off each other real well. I know they talk a lot, they look at video a lot, and they kind of build off of sort of stuff they've done in the past.
Just wanted to also ask about, does the top line maybe feel pressure to get Scheif that goal? Do you think that there's a bit of that?
Well, I think it just happened the other night. It just happened. I don't think there's anything going down that road. I think it'll happen when it happens. Our group, I haven't seen it yet where everybody's deferring and trying to get him the puck, but I think that if we're later in the year or if it was something like that, I think that you might see it. But for now, I mean, he just tied it the other night, so we'll see how it plays out.
On the second challenge, I know that it happened sort of at a TV timeout, but how much time do you and Matt usually have to decide if you're challenging or not?
Yeah, usually not that long.
Right.
And usually there isn't a TV timeout, so I asked if I could tell them my answer at the end of the timeout. They wouldn't let me do that. But the big thing, usually it's not much more than 30 seconds. You got to make your decision pretty quick. And there are a bunch of different angles that you have to kind of look at. And that one specific, because above it wasn't really helping us. Yeah. The referee had mentioned that it was interference on the goalie before the puck hit the goalie, but it wasn't after we saw what we needed. We didn't know that was the call. The referee did tell us that it was goaltender interference prior to the puck hitting the goalie, and then once we saw all the video, it wasn't. So that's how we felt pretty confident that we were going to move forward.
Coaches often say that video coaches are kind of the hidden gem of their staff, and tonight we saw that as a result. But just in general, what can you say about what someone like Matt and the video staff do for you in your job?
It's the amount of work they do behind the scenes is unreal. Him and James Cochran. All our pre-scouts, we go back sometimes 3-4 games on every opponent. So all that video has to be ready for all the different coaches, whether that's 5-on-5 or specialty teams. Our analytics department goes through them on the hockey side and then moves upstairs as well. But they, we have that stuff handed to us the next day. The amount of work those guys do is, it is yeoman's work, and they do a ton of stuff. And then, and you get into pressure situations of like tonight. Well, those are big moments, and they're big situations, and that was really the big one for me. Like I said, if that's a 1-goal game, I'm not sure how far we go down the road on that one, and with 3 minutes to go. But those guys are good at what they do, and our success. We always talk about our family and our group. Our coaching staff isn't just the guys you see on the bench. There's a lot more of us, and Matty and James are a big part of that.
Just one last one. On the second power play unit, Cole said last game that he thought that the unit has been a bit more assertive with the way that they're attacking it. Tonight, again, there was another instance. What do you think has led to that shift there in terms of maybe how they were playing before to how that 5-man unit is playing now?
Yeah, the big thing, and they did it in Washington, is we're not just trying to get set up in the zone and then try to get a scoring chance. The first goal and then the one in Wash, we scored off the rush. We broke them down and got inside and got a great look. Obviously, Nino got a great pass. It just that our mindset is if it's a face-off, we're attacking. If it's an entry, we're trying to attack. If it's, obviously once you get set, then you're going into the sort of the sequence. But that group, they all can make plays, and that's what you're seeing. And I like the fact that their mindset is to attack, and that's what they did off that entry. And the other one was the battle on the wall. It was, Carolina is extremely aggressive, one of the most aggressive teams in the league on their PK, and that came down to a 3-against-3 battle, and we came up with a puck. I know the Orlov blocked the shot, but Pionk was ready to pounce on the next one, and that's the stuff you need to do.
You got to work hard to attack. You could see in a lot of your opposition tonight, like their body language. You guys are a frustrating team to play against. It's a grind, and you guys just quite often outwork your opponents. Nino was saying that work ethic comes from the idea that everyone's got a high standard for each other. In your time here, when did you kind of see that lock in, the idea that everyone around the room is looking to each other and saying, you got to bring more?
Well, I think it's just been building for me the last 2.5 years. It's been something that you're trying to implement. I think the buy-in from everybody, that everybody plays the same way when we don't have the puck. Everybody tries to do a lot of that. I mean, skill set's different for everyone, but we try to do a lot of the similar things. Our D-zone, how we play without our puck, there is no one way for one group and another way for another. That's the buy-in part that happens from everybody. It just seems that tonight for that game, that first period again was another real solid first period, and I agree with you. I think we frustrated them a little bit. We got them on their heels. We got playing fast against them. The second period, they did turn it a little bit, and they got after us, and we got stuck in our end. But I really loved our third. I think we had the chances in the third were 6-1 for us, and that's what I like to see. That's the mentality of us taking it to teams, playing jet hockey, and that's the buy-in, everybody doing it. When we do it, we get results from different lines. We get results, from different defensemen, and that's our success comes from our team game.
Yeah, the way you defend. It's hard areas all over the ice for your opposition. On your wall, it says embrace hard areas. And I do notice from night to night, even when you're playing fairly good teams, it's almost like you can feel they're not as interested in grinding against that as your guys seem to be very interested in getting into that grind. How did you get them in the mindset to embrace hard areas the way it looks like you've got
I think that's just doing it and having success, showing it, talking about it, repeating it. We've been doing it since game one. It's hard to play a 60-minute game that way. You're going to have your ups and downs, but when you do, you do all those right things, it leads to the offense, and then we've been able to score, and that is really us getting out and ahead on teams. And then they have to really try to get through us, and that's kind of the whole idea behind things is we want to be frustrating to play against, and like I mentioned, you can't do it all 60 minutes. It's hard to do, but at the end of the day, if you can frustrate teams enough, they'll make a mistake. They'll turn them, at the wrong time, and that's when you capitalize on it.
Yes,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel tonight here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. Post-game show, of course, presented by our friends at Play Now. Very happy Winnipeg Jets head coach. for obvious good reason, giving praise, as he rightfully should, to the unheralded members of his coaching staff. Matt Prefontaine, of course, leading the video operations crew. They were key for the Winnipeg Jets tonight in giving the Jets, taking one goal off the board for the Hurricanes and then giving the Jets another goal in the third period. Certainly an insurance marker late in the third period on the Jets' way to a 3-0 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes, a very good Carolina Hurricanes team. 7 wins in a row for the Winnipeg Jets. They finish off the pre-Four Nations Cup schedule, portion of the schedule, Friday night against the New York Islanders, looking to make it an 8th straight victory. That all come Friday night. And of course, a reminder, Friday afternoon, 12 noon, we'll be at City Place for a live on location, a special pregame edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. So join us in the food court at City Place on Friday at 12 noon. And then, of course, after the game, 9:40, 9:45 for the Illegal Curve post-game show. So a busy Friday coming your way, and then a busy Saturday, and then we all go away for a couple weeks until we reconvene on the 22nd of February. But tonight, Dave, lots to talk about, lots to like from a Winnipeg Jets performance. As Scott Arniel said, and our buddy Sean Reynolds said, the Jets are a hard team to play against. And I do think there's something to be said that Carolina, as the game went on, were less and less interested and disinclined to have to go to the dirty areas to beat the Winnipeg Jets. And particularly in that third period, the Jets owned that portion of the ice. And that's why they were able to come away with the victory as they did.
Yeah, and it was their fifth. They was close, and especially in terms of a shot volume team like Carolina, Drew. They ended up with 29, so that was the 15th straight game now. The Jets have held their opponent to less than 30 shots in the game, and it was funny because Mike McIntyre and I were talking about it in the press box before the game, after the first few minutes of the game, and it was like, well, they could eliminate that stat, but the Jets somehow preserve it. And Eric Comrie, of course, like you said, picks up his second shutout for the Jets and third for his career. Really good game. And again, one of these games that, it's worth mentioning. This is a Jets team that has now won 7 straight games without Adam Lowry. Mm-hmm. They've been without Morgan Barron since the Montreal game. So they've won 3 games without Morgan Barron. Parker Ford has stepped up and he's looked good in spurts. I thought the Niederreiter line I thought Nino Niederreiter was excellent in this hockey game.
I agree.
I thought he was the best player. I thought Eric Comrie made a lot of really nice saves. I think like high danger chances were in the first were what were they 6-6 at 5-on-5?
In the first period, they were 6-6. That's right.
Yeah.
6-6 after 23. Then 9. Then it was 9-9 after 40, and then the Jets just absolutely controlled that third period. 9-3. The high danger chances in that third period for the Jets.
Right. So you like the fact that, like I said, I thought Nino Niederreiter was excellent, and as they said, Cole Perfetti, I thought had another strong game. I mean, ever since he assumed the alter ego of the Prick. He's been putting up, I think he's got 4 goals and 4 assists in the 6 games since. So of course 3 of those goals came in one game. But the truth is that he's been performing more. And you look, you've got to give Carolina credit, right? I mean, they were managed to hold the Scheifele line to 0, and that's why you have depth, though, Drew. Right? That's the reason why when Adam Lowry goes down, and we talked about it either on the Saturday show or the last post-game show. A guy like Rasmus Kupari is getting opportunity, and you have to be able to take advantage of it. David Gustafsson, another strong play that leads to a goal, and we'll get into that, of course, when we start our actual game recap here. But there are a lot. The role players the Jets are winning in different ways, and that is the key to success, at least from my perspective.
To your point, so you talk about Scheifele, Velarde, and Connor. Tonight they were held to a grand total of 2 shots on goal.
Yeah.
Scheifele didn't even have a shot on goal in tonight's game, which is not something you would typically hear from that line. But what's, one of the key plays in my mind in tonight's game happens in the third period when it's still just a 2-0 game. It's still a close game. Yeah. Scheifele, gets taken down in the neutral zone. Looked like he got a stick maybe up high. And what happens? There's no call. Whether or not there should have been one, I don't have an opinion on him. It's unclear to me. I didn't see a good enough replay. But he gets right back in the play. He hustles back into the defensive zone, and he intercepts a pass that's right in the slot. Which would have led to a great Carolina opportunity. Instead, he gets back on defense. He transitions the puck all the way single-handedly back up the ice and gets it deep into the Carolina zone. It's a little play. It's not a significant play in the course of tonight's game, but it just goes to show the manner in which all 12 forwards and 6 defensemen for the Winnipeg Jets, that would be a lot of forwards, are buying in to the small parts of the game. And it's not necessarily something new that we've seen this year. It's been sort of standard operating procedure for this team all season long. But that's one on a night where he was otherwise quiet and where his line mates were otherwise quiet. And the power play, it was the second power play unit that got both goals. That's just a little play from Mark Scheifele where, again, he's a leader in that dressing room. He's a leader on this team. He gets back and he makes that defensive play and he breaks it up and transitions the puck. Just small things like that are why the Jets are so difficult and so frustrating to play against for their opposition.
Yeah, and as Brendan Matheson is said, and I'm highlighting the comment here, the first line was quiet, but they drew both penalties the Jets scored on as well. So, of course, you're right, Brendan, by that point, and it is a good one, right? Because both instances, well, for the first 2 power plays, I should say, the second unit started, and I still have to go back and maybe if someone has access to the splits, I haven't looked them up yet, and but I'm curious as to what, because for a while it was even Steven, then the first unit, I should say, started to score a number of goals in a row, and now it's the second unit, I think, has goals in 3 straight games. Is that right, Drew, or something to that effect?
I think it's 4 straight. It's now 4 straight power play goals, if I'm not mistaken, by the second unit for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah. So if I said 3, but for your and the other thing that's notable, and I mentioned
I wrote it down. 4 straight goals from the Jets' second power play unit.
There you go. And the other thing that is worth noting is the fact that we talked about the number 1 power play versus the number 1 penalty kill. Carolina had not allowed a power play goal against in their last 7 games. So they, again, in addition to being the best unit, hadn't been allowing goals. They gave up 2 tonight.
Right.
So, it's always interesting, right? We always talk about, usually it's in the NFL when we talk about what's better, offense or defense or CFL, whatever. But the point is, in this instance, is the PK or the PP going to be the more deadly when it's 1 versus 1? And then in this instance, in a game where, the game was ultimately decided by those 2 power play goals, the first 2 power play goals, the power play came out on top.
Well, it's funny, and we'll get into the goal-by-goal recap, the play now game recap here in a second. It's funny you talk about sort of the matchup between the Jets, immovable force that is their power play against the irresistible object that is the Hurricanes penalty kill.
Yeah.
It's it was the Hurricanes making errors on their penalty kill that I thought led to the Jets' 2 goals, whereas the Jets just did. You have to almost play a perfect game against the Winnipeg Jets as of late in order to beat them. That, any slip up, any error, the Jets seem to be capitalizing on and seem to be making the opponent, pay for those mistakes. Whereas the flip side to that is the Jets themselves are either not making that many mistakes, not making those crucial errors, and or are able to overcome their errors. I mean, this is their 3rd straight 7-game winning streak of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive record. We know how good the Jets have been this year. We know where they stand in terms of the NHL, in terms of the standings. We know that they have the most points in the NHL. But, to have, of your 38 wins, 21 of them come in 7-game stretches in a row speaks to just how dominant they have been. And anytime they haven't been dominant, it's only been a very small blip, and then their dominance resumes. And that's something, of course, they'll look to continue, make it 8 straight before they wrap up on Friday against the New York Islanders. We'll get into it. Sorry, you go ahead. I see.
Nothing. I just think that, how many times do we talk about the idea of banking points, right? Throwing points into the standings bank and being able to, look, today was the first time the Jets were advertising for playoff tickets at the arena. Yeah, I know, but think about it.
I got the email also.
No, well, this wasn't an email. This was like on the Jumbotron.
But it was both.
Yeah, no, I know they went out to season ticket holders. My point is that, Scott Arniel, Kevin Cheveldayoff, whenever we've heard them talk, they say, well, we got to make it first, then we blah, blah, blah. And I understand that the coaching staff and the general manager are very different than the people who have to sell tickets. But I'm just saying, it's just the mindset is already starting to switch. And that was what we understood. There's 3 sections to the season, right? The pre-Christmas break, Christmas to Four Nations, Four Nations to the playoffs. So the Jets are 1 game away. And, I probably should mention, because one of the things that was talked about in today's media availability, and I thought was rather, I don't know how many people heard the comments from Kevin Cheveldayoff. He was on a podcast yesterday.
Darren Millard and John Shannon's podcast.
Yeah, the new one's called 100% Hockey or something like that. But
it's a terrible name.
Yeah, it's interesting. But anyways, he basically, Cheveldayoff, and if you didn't hear it, don't, of course, go and listen to it now, but it's on illegalcurve.com, and I've got some of the highlights, pointed out on the page, so you can see those, but in quotes. But one of the things I thought it was interesting was his talk about Adam Lowry, because he basically said, well, he's not on the ice. Okay, I thought, okay, that's notable because we weren't certain, and we got more information on that today. But then also basically said, yeah, there's a lot of markers that he has to, the mile markers he has to get past. So it didn't sound like it was anytime soon. Originally, Drew, remember when we heard about Adam Lowry, suffered this January 20th, so already 2 weeks ago, and we were wondering, okay, what does week to week mean? Is he close? And if not, realistically, it didn't make sense to rush him now, especially if he wasn't on the ice yesterday. But were you thinking, is he going to be available for the 22nd when they play in St. Louis right after Four Nations? My impression from what Scott Arniel said today, and I'll just be quick, none of them have started to skate yet. That was in reference to Morgan Barron and Adam Lowry. Might see them on the ice just prior to us getting back, prior to us coming back. But as of right now, nobody's been on the ice. So again, the break is coming at a good time for those two, but it just doesn't seem likely that the captain and Morgan Barron are going to be anytime soon. And he did say that Morgan Barron is a little farther behind Adam Lowry. So again, worth noting that the break is coming at a good time for those guys to heal up, I should say.
Yeah, no question about it. Great time for everybody to heal up. To get 2 weeks off in the middle of the season will do wonders for a lot of the players who are nursing bumps and bruises. We know it's never going to be perfect at this stage of the career. Everybody's at this stage of the season. Everybody's got something going on. But for those who aren't playing in the Four Nations Cup, to be able to go take a 2-week vacation, rest, relax, recharge for the final, 26 games, and then what the Winnipeg Jets hope for is a lengthy playoff run will certainly, I think, do wonders for a lot of the members of this team. Let's get into the goal-by-goal recap. The Jets were victorious 3-0 tonight over the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll go period by period. We'll go goal by goal, breaking it all down.
The Play Now game recap.
It's brought to you by our friends at Play Now. They're the title sponsor of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show and, of course, the Illegal Curve post-game show. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18+. Enjoy responsibly. Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Hurricanes had a good start to this game. The first 3-4 minutes of this game, first shift of the game almost featured a couple of good opportunities for the Hurricanes that Eric Comrie certainly had to be sharp on. And Carolina had the ice tilted up until a nice shift by Kupari, Niederreiter, and Appleton. This happened about the 4 or 5 minute mark of the first period, and that's sort of when the Jets began to get into the flow of the game. No surprise that was the line that was really a tone setter for the Winnipeg Jets. Nino Niederreiter, you heard from him multiple times. You heard Scott Arniel talking about him in tonight's game. He was really impactful for the Winnipeg Jets in tonight's game against his former team, the Carolina Hurricanes, that, of course, I think 2 teams ago before he went to Nashville. But he was certainly noticeable. He did all the good things that the Winnipeg Jets expect of him. Yeah. And then that culminates in getting the opening goal in tonight's game. This a power play marker at the 19:18 mark of the first period. So late in the first period with Walker Walker in the box for the Carolina Hurricanes. That, of course, being Sean Walker. He takes that late tripping penalty after a good shift by Scheifele and Connor and Velarde. So the second unit gets to start, and Niederreiter gets his 14th assist to Alex Iafallo and Vlad Nemesnikov. And what Scott Arniel alluded to, in his post-game comments, Dave, is this isn't a traditional power play goal where you get the zone and you set up and you move it around and you get the shot that you like. This is a goal off the rush.
Yeah.
And this is, again, I think the second or third straight game now where the Jets, especially that second unit, has scored off the rush on the power play as opposed to the first unit, which is very much more about setting things up. You watch this goal, and I'll let you get in here in a second, and Brent Burns just pulls himself completely out of the play in chasing Vlad Nemesnikov on this one as the Jets gain the zone. Brent Burns just pulls himself completely out of the way. Chases after Iafallo. Iafallo is then able to step around him, and nobody's on Niederreiter. Great pass over to Niederreiter, who wires it past Kochetkov to give the Jets the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, no, you're right, Drew. And it's funny because, like we've talked about, I thought that Vlad Nemesnikov could have had a goal early in the first period as well.
Mm-hmm.
He had a pretty good chance, but this is just a nice play by Alex Iafallo. I mean, it's connected. It's, again, these guys are so connected right now, and that happens obviously with the consistency and these guys staying healthy for the most part. So having some familiarity, but shocking. And again, I don't like when I say that Carolina is the number one power play, a penalty killing unit. I would imagine it's similar numbers at home and on the road, but it's amazing if you look at the disparity between their home record and their road record. Carolina has 20 or 21 wins at
20
home.
20 wins at home.
And they've got 12 on the road. They're 12 now because they lost tonight. So they're 12-3, I think, on the road. So it's a pretty big disparity to be that good at home and yet be a 500 team now on the road. But so again, and I would imagine even if their PK numbers are slightly skewed, they would still be a pretty good one, obviously, because they're the number one unit in the NHL.
Well, but that's what I'm talking about when it comes to, I mentioned it earlier about they make the mistakes. Their penalty kill was very impressive. After, for the most part in this game, I thought their penalty kill was impressive, which is hard to understand when you say that they give up 2 power play goals. But you look at this goal, and again, Brent Burns is just freelancing here on this play. You go back and watch the replay. It's just a weak sort of stick check attempt, and he pulls himself completely out of the play. He's defending the boards by the end of his attempt, and Iafallo is just, okay, I'll just walk around you. You're not going to really do anything here. So for a team that is so is so skilled penalty killing wise, really did a good job preventing the Jets from getting set up on any of their later power play opportunities in this game. Brent Burns just decides to freelance on this one, and they get burnt. The Jets burn them. The Hurricanes get burnt. It turns out it's the game-winning goal. It's just you can't make mistakes against the Winnipeg Jets team right now, and Brent Burns on this one certainly made a big mistake.
Well, and look at the guys who are on the ice. It's Martinic, Stahl, Burns, and Slavin. Sorry. So you've got those 4 guys. They're all very good, and yet you're right. It's very weird to watch the replay and see how they're almost like not expecting. I'm not going to say, and again, sometimes look, teams out east don't face the west very often, obviously, and vice versa. So maybe their pre-scout on the second power play unit wasn't sufficiently done. I don't know. I honestly don't know, Drew. Maybe they didn't take them as seriously as they should have. But again, it's just because like Alex Iafallo basically slices through these guys like hot butter, and he really sets. I mean, again, you're going to give Niederreiter credit,
it's
really
a hot knife through butter. Just
what did I say? Hot butter through knife?
Butter.
Oh well, whatever.
And I understood where you're coming from, but it's a hot knife through butter.
That's okay. You got to correct me. That's fine.
Yeah,
okay. If I made an error, I want you to correct me. But look, it's just I mean, maybe it's whatever the analogy, the tortured analogy I'm trying for, Drew. Yeah. That's the Jets. The fact of the matter is that Alex Iafallo really makes this play, And Nito Niederreiter, who, like I had said, had looked good throughout the course of that first period, he gets rewarded with his 14th goal. And there's not really much to talk about on the goal. It's just a great one-timer by him. But it's all set up by the fact that by Iafallo having the presence of mind and having the Hurricanes kind of watching him, kind of stick handle in the booth, and then boom, puts it over to Niederreiter and he puts it into the back of the net.
Exactly right. And then, speaking of Niederreiter, and we were praising him, huge shot block at the end of the first period.
Yeah.
Where I believe it was off of Orlov, if I'm not mistaken. He pays the price to block the shot. Again, the Jets sacrificing, the Jets sort of going that extra mile, like a lot of players do and a lot of teams do, but it's successful, and it's in a key moment of this game when it's still 1-0 at that point in time. Second period starts. And the Jets get another power play goal. This one, Taylor Hall, just a lazy hooking penalty on Gabe Vilardi. The penalty comes at the 2:12 mark of the second period. The Jets' second unit takes advantage again. Neil Pionk, his 8th of the year, assist to Cole Perfetti and Nino Niederreiter. And, the Jets win a board battle on this goal to be able to set it up. And it's a bit of a broken play.
For sure.
Go back and watch Sebastian Aho on this play. Again, allegedly during a penalty killing situation. He goes out after Pionk, to try and intercept the pass or try and, break up the pass along the boards. Pionk, and he just waves at Pionk. There's no physicality to it. It's a soft play. Then he goes for a bit of a skate into the neutral zone. He comes back into the defensive zone. But at this point in time, he's chasing the play. So after the shot block, Perfetti, takes the shot, and it's blocked by Orlov. Aho's out of position, which allows Pionk to walk right in, and from inside of the face-off circle, absolutely blast it past Kochetkov to give the Jets the 2-0 lead and also give us the Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Seagram's 83 is Manitoba's favorite Canadian whiskey. Canadian whiskey. Canadian whiskey. Big thanks to our friends at Seagram's for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. But Pionk with an absolute wire. I mean, he steps into it from great shooting position, makes no mistake on it. But again, Aho is, I don't know if he's looking for more than is there, but he's just taking himself out of the play rather than sort of maintaining the aggressive structure. I like the aggressiveness of the Hurricanes penalty kill.
Yeah.
But when you're aggressive and you miss, and then you go for a skate, and then you put yourself out of position, that aggressiveness can come back to bite you.
Yeah, and like you said, Drew, they play that aggressively, but then you've got two guys. I think it's Stahl who fell. That was the second player after the attempted block, or the block, I should say, of the Perfetti shot. But there's a couple of things that I want to take note of. Number one, I love Perfetti's persistence along the boards, because that's what we've been hearing about him, is that willingness to use his size and using his intelligence to separate guys from the puck, and he does that on this play. And even though his shot does get blocked, like you said, it's a bit of a broken play, but it ends up on the stick of Neil Pionk. The other guy who deserves highlighting, and I've mentioned his name multiple times tonight, but Nino Niederreiter. I mean, he takes away the eyes of Kochetkov and perfectly creates that screen. So Pionk it's a great shot, but it's a lot easier of a shot to get past the goaltender when you have a good screen. And then one of the things that we've talked about, especially I feel like in the mid part of the season, probably when the Jets were undergoing some of their struggles, Drew, was this idea of the Jets weren't creating enough chaos in front and not setting up screens. But here's a perfect example where Niederreiter recognizes, hey, he does two things. Number one, he screens him for the shot. And then number two, after the shot is underway and Kochetkov can't see it, Niederreiter slides to the open spot. So if he makes the save, he's available to it's just a smart play by a smart player. So you like the fact that they're the second unit, like you mentioned, 4 straight games or 4 straight goals for this second unit. And you need that. You need to have both of the units playing well. And again, against the Carolina team that has been so successful on the PK, it is a huge way to go, especially if the 5-on-5 wasn't. I mean, neither team was dominating the other at 5-on-5.
Right.
So special teams is where you're going to have some success. And we know that Carolina, even though they got that goal, which was ended up being disallowed, or sorry, I should say overturned, which I guess is basically the same thing. Yeah. But the fact is their power play is not particularly strong. It's the 21st ranked power play in the NHL, whereas the Jets PK, it's interesting how they both have one extreme strength. The Jets PK is 16th overall. But this is, again, you're taking advantage of your biggest strength. And when we talked about it, when your first line isn't generating a ton, well, then here's a way to do some damage. And you do it with the second goal of the game and created that insurance your team needed.
Since January 1st, the Hurricanes' power play has been clicking at 4.8%, which is dead last in the NHL.
Is that good?
No, it's not good. In fact, it's not good at all. But that's how bad their power play has been in the last 4+ weeks. It's been absolutely abysmal. You got to see it tonight as well. They got very close, though, with Parker Ford in the box for what I would describe as a bit of a questionable tripping penalty. I thought there could have been some embellishment there as well, but nonetheless, Ford is in the box for tripping. Rantanen hits the post, comes so close to cutting the Jets' lead in half. The Jets were then able to clear it out. Carolina at times was guilty of overpassing in tonight's game. I think I saw a tweet from our friend, guy who covers the Hurricanes. Oh boy, his mind.
Are you talking about what's his name?
I'm gonna have to look up his name. His mind. It's not Corey Lavalette. It's the guy from the Rally News and Observer.
Oh, you're talking about Chip Alexander.
Yeah, Chip Alexander. Thank you. Chip Alexander said that sometimes watching the Hurricanes try offensively is like watching somebody get blood from a stone. And I think it was one of those games tonight for the Hurricanes. To the Jets' credit, Hurricanes though came the closest they came. Well, first of all, the disallowed goal, and then the closest they came after that would have been the hitting the post by Rantanen on the power play. Eric Comrie was great for the Winnipeg Jets. He made big saves. He looked so confident and comfortable. How many rebounds did he give up in the course of tonight's game? Very few. So Eric Comrie, this is just a terrific performance for him. Well deserving of the first star in tonight's game. We talked about the third period, a dominant third period by the Winnipeg Jets, where they just said to Carolina, our will is stronger than your want. That's what to the Hurricanes, and they showed it, in the high danger chances, and they showed it on the scoreboard. Eventually, first Vlad Nemesnikov's goal gets disallowed, but where is he when he scores this goal? I know it doesn't count, but where is he? He's right in front of the blue paint. Yeah. He's right in the dirty area, where then it gets called back for a kicking motion. I don't think he deliberately tried to kick it, but it definitely, was a kicking motion by the rule of the law, so no goal there. But the Jets respond very quickly thereafter. Rasmus Kupari, his 5th of the year, assist to Mason Appleton and David Gustafsson. Just look at the people who are on the scoreboard tonight for the Jets. Niederreiter with a goal and an assist. Iafallo with an assist. Nemesnikov with an assist. Pionk with a goal. Perfetti with an assist. Kupari with a goal. Appleton and Gustafsson with assists. Depth of your lineup contributing offensively when your top guys aren't going. I don't know why this goal was disallowed to begin with. This was just hard work. Kupari stops outside the blue paint. The puck gets in there, and he's allowed to go in there once it's in there. And he didn't impede the pad. He didn't shove the pad in. I thought it was a good challenge by the Winnipeg Jets, because at the same time, remember, if they give up, if they say, let's say it's no goal. Let's say, the refs rule no goal. Yes, the Jets are shorthanded, but what did I just say about the Hurricanes penalty power play? 4% success rate in the last month. So it's probably a worthwhile gamble. Of course, it ended up being a good goal that made it 3-0, and that was all she wrote for tonight and the Winnipeg Jets, Dave.
Yeah, look, I can understand why the refs potentially saw goaltender interference here. I mean, again. Everybody in the chat, everybody who watches hockey, plays hockey, how fast it happens. So you can understand why, this was seen potentially as goalie interference, especially depending on the angle that the ref is looking at. Svechkov's defense there is abysmal because he basically allows Kupari to have he turns completely the wrong way. So Kupari is alone in front. But like I said, I think I gave credit to David Gustafsson for the rush, but it obviously was Mason Appleton who had received the puck from Gustafsson. But yeah, Drew, I called it a ballsy challenge because you've got 341 regardless, and I guess I probably didn't realize that the power play for Carolina had been so abysmal.
Right.
But it's a 2-0 game, 3:41 to go, and you challenge. I mean, that is Kevin and Dan were talking about it on the broadcast. You want to show your team that you've got their back, which is good, but at the same time, that you've just had one goal disallowed in the Nemestikov goal, and you're putting yourself at a risk. And good on the Jets for having confidence in, again, their you could see the reaction from the bench. Nikolai Ehlers obviously reacted. You saw the reaction from Mason Appleton on the ice and Rasmus Kupari, who were kind of somewhat incensed about the fact that it was disallowed. So yeah, I mean, I just like the fact that it was nothing but safe plays, right? Like, it was along the wall. You weren't putting yourself at risk. And then this line was moving their feet and creating. And there were a number there. Mason Appleton actually, I thought, had a good game.
Yeah.
And it was funny because yesterday Mason at practice at Hockey for All Center, Mason Appleton was the only guy wearing the red pants of the Heritage Classic ones. And we kind of joked. I mean, I should say Josh Morrissey was wearing his Team Canada pants and his Team Canada gloves. Connor Hellebuck, if you didn't see it, of course, we got it on the Illegal Curve Instagram. He had his USA helmet on, and Kyle Connor wasn't wearing anything. But Mason Appleton was wearing his red Heritage Classic pants, but every other Jets player was wearing their blue ones, the regular ones. And we were like, and then I realized tonight he was injured during the time that they wore the Heritage Classic last, so I suspect he hadn't worn his in a while.
He was
so
working it in.
Yeah, so he was breaking him in yesterday at practice. But I thought he had a strong game. I thought he made one play along the wall that I don't remember which Carolina Hurricanes player had intercepted it, but it would have resulted in a Jets, I think, a breakaway for Kupari. But it was a really smart play by Appleton, just a nice play by the Hurricanes to knock it down. But there were a number of plays where and there were a couple of rushes that Mason Appleton had in tonight's game. I thought he had a good game. So there were a number of guys that stood out to me in tonight's game. And like I think how I started off tonight's show, Drew, to me, depth is what is the story. Obviously, Eric Comrie having a shutout performance. Every guy in that room is going to be beyond ecstatic for him and for the team to get that shutout. And like I said, his first of the year. But, again, a number of guys stepped up. And here's another example of this line giving you energy and giving you a 3-0 lead and putting a seal on the deal with 3:41 to go in the game.
And then the only thing that was in question over the last 3:41 was, would Eric Comrie get his third career shutout, his second as a member of the Winnipeg Jets? And the answer, of course, is yes, he did. And you could see the excitement and the happiness that everybody on that Jets roster has for him. I mean, besides, as we've well documented, he's the nicest guy in the history of the world. And you know how good he is in that locker room. They had him mic'd up. I guess that must have been the Boston game last week. Because and they showed it during the intermission, and it just I'd watch. They should have Eric Comrie mic'd up every game because it's just the running commentary and him singing along was just thoroughly entertaining. And so when you see good things happen to what appear to be pretty decent people, that's always exciting for everybody involved. Jets 3-0 victors, 7 wins in a row now. By the way, the Jets penalty kill over the last month, 13th in the NHL. So, for what was a big bugaboo, especially when Dylan Sandberg was out of the lineup, they're now inching towards the top half. They're 17th overall in the NHL, but over the last month, success rate right around, actually, I guess tied for 12th with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And so we know how good the power play has been. The penalty kill was perfect again tonight. So good things all around for the Winnipeg Jets. 1 game to go Friday against the New York Islanders, and then they get the 2 weeks off for the Four Nations Cup. When we come back here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, Eric Comrie compared somebody on the Winnipeg Jets to Connor McDavid. We'll tell you who that is after these commercial messages. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk with you. It's Tuesday night. The Illegal Curve post-game show rolls on. Don't go anywhere.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead. Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you on this Tuesday night, talking about the Jets' 3-0 victors over the Carolina Hurricanes. Couple reminders. Here's 3 scheduling reminders for you. So Friday afternoon, 12 noon, City Place, downtown. Also, of course, live here on our YouTube channel, the Illegal Curve pregame show before the Jets and the Islanders. I don't know why Dave has balloons going up on his screen now, but that's a separate issue entirely. This is what happens when you do the show off of an iPhone. Anyways, 12 noon on Friday, the Illegal Curve hockey show. The Illegal Curve postgame show, Friday, 9:40 p.m. That's after the Jets and the Islanders. Saturday morning, the Illegal Curve hockey show like normal. And then 2 weeks from then, when the Jets return to the ice on the 22nd of February, that's a Saturday night. Saturday morning will be the Illegal Curve hockey show. Then that's Saturday night. Jets at the Blues. We're live at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue for the next edition of the Illegal Curve watch party and the Illegal Curve live on location post-game show. So that's coming up on the 22nd, so the 7th, and then the 22nd for live on location shows. Be sure you're following us all over all of our respective social media platforms on the website, and you'll, of course, never miss a minute of Illegal Curve, either live on location or, just broadcasting from our respective studios. I mentioned Eric Comrie and comparing somebody to Connor McDavid. Here is a snippet of what the Winnipeg Jets goaltender, shutout maven, Eric Comrie had to say after tonight's game.
Maddie's the best in the business. So, when I was in Buffalo, our video coach there is we're talking about Maddie, he's the greatest thing ever. He's the Connor McDavid of video coaches. It was so when I was there, they were this is an actual conversation I had with the video coach, Justin White. He goes, Matty Prefontaine, what's he like as a guy? How good is he? And I was like, okay. Now I understand how good he is. Because, when like when they had their analytics meeting, he's the one leading the charge. He's the best in the business. We're lucky to have him. So Maddie's the best in the business.
There's Eric Comrie speaking about Matt Prefontaine effusively. I hope Eric drinks decaf, because I can't imagine if he has caffeine coursing through his system on the regular basis just how hyped he would be. But you can't help but love the enthusiasm and sort of just appreciate that joie de vivre that he demonstrates on a night in, night out basis, Dave.
Well, you're right. We've covered him his entire career, and we've covered him since he was drafted way back in the day in 2013 at the draft in New Jersey, Drew. So we've had him on our show multiple times, and of course covered him when he was with the Moose and with the Jets, and the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time. I mean, he and Winnipeg are interconnected. So. Yeah, there's no question about. Look, it's interesting, right? I mean, that's kind of the behind the scenes stuff that we take for granted, and we don't. Or I shouldn't say take it for granted, but we're unaware of. But we joke around, right? We say, don't bet against Matt Prefontaine. And how many steak dinners has he gotten? And like I said, I think the Jets have only lost the one challenge all season. Yep. So I mean,
they were 5 for 6 entering tonight, and so they got 7 for 8 after the end of tonight's game.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's not insignificant, because how many hockey games, and maybe Scott O'Neill's a little more conservative than Paul Maurice. Paul Maurice, I feel like he was a little more, a little bit more, active in using his challenge. But ultimately, I don't know. I will say, and I will be honest, I don't know that for a fact. I'm just kind of speculating that as to what I seem to remember over the years. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I mean, it's worked out very well for this hockey team, and it definitely, I think, had an impact on tonight's hockey game. It's hard to argue otherwise, right? So, it's not a surprise to me that they appreciate what he does for this team, and it's just, again, another example of a guy who plays a role, even though he's not wearing skates and has a chance to either score a goal or prevent one, but having an impact of what's happening on the ice.
Yeah, no question about it. Last comment from Eric Comrie tonight. He came out after the game, and of course, as the first star, received a rousing ovation from the fans that were in attendance at the game tonight. Quote, I just try and go out there and give it my best for these fans. I'm so thankful they acknowledged me after the game. It's a great place to play. I love playing here. I always come back, right? For the fans. Eric Comrie, the star of the show tonight for the Winnipeg Jets, but up and down the lineup, up and down the organization, lots of different people carry the water for tonight's victory, the 7th in a row by the Winnipeg Jets, defeating the Carolina Hurricanes 3-0, 4 for 4 in this stretch of 5 straight games against the Eastern Conference. The Jets look to make it a perfect 5 for 5 and wrap up the pre-Four Nations Cup portion of the schedule by winning their 8th straight this coming up Friday night against the New York Islanders, where, to no one's surprise, Connor Hellebuck will be back in the net for the Winnipeg Jets. That does it for us on tonight's edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. If you haven't already done so, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure your alerts and your notifications are on so you get notified each and every time we go live here, be it with the Illegal Curve Hockey Show that's coming up Saturday morning, or be it with the Illegal Curve post-game show that's coming up Friday night, or be it with a special edition show that's coming up Friday at 12 noon. Make sure your alerts are on and you're subscribing to the podcast as well. IllegalCurve.com is the website with all your latest Winnipeg Jets, Manitoba Moose news and audio. Be sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms, especially our Instagram account. Great photography from photographer, videographer extraordinaire Colby Spence. He was in attendance tonight, of course, at your game, shooting his great shots. So check those out on our Instagram page. Big thank you to all of the sponsors of the show. That's our friends at Play Now, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Holt Dental, City Place, Boston Pizza, and Seagram's. Support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Post-game coverage on the website, instant replay immediately on the YouTube channel, podcast soon to be available courtesy Dave M's efforts. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll see you again on Friday. For Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Until Friday at 12 noon, we wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.